Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. It's me, Matt Slick. You're listening to Matt Slick Live. And if you want, you can give me a call at 877 207 2276. And same as usual. Well, okay, so just so you know, the last four digits of that number spell CARM. So it's 208. No, wait. No. Wait. All these numbers in my head. 877-207-2276. All right. So I guess the sound is okay, right, Charlie? Is it working? Okay. All right. You know, I spent a long time today trying to do one thing, get my Google Calendar to sync on my phone. And something's amiss. That was fun. And I'm going to work on that. I got some interesting research. I was in a room last night, and a chat room, and it really was interesting. I actually learned something. I learned something, and I didn't come up with it. Somebody else did. And talking to some Catholics, and they were trying to talk about how great their church is, blah blah blah, and they have all the authority. And we got talking about the issue of bowing down before statues. And they went to Joshua 7:6 and said that Joshua bowed before the ark because that was where God was. He said, we go to the church. That's where God is. We bow before the statues of Mary. And, it's just like, what is Mary right there? And now all of a sudden she's everywhere. Just stupid stuff. And this guy comes on and he jumped in and he goes, look, dudes, he made a great point. He said, because I brought up about not making any idols, not making anything that you can, bow down before. And they said, well, they bowed down before the ark. And this guy brought this good point. He said, when God talked about this, he said God commanded them to make an ark, but he told them not to make for themselves an image. And that's what you guys are doing. And I thought that point was basically brilliant. And so, I always am learning something from someone. I really enjoyed that. All right. Hey, if you want to give me a call, 877-207-2276. Scott from Spokane. Scott, welcome. You're on the air, man.
Hey, how are you today, Matt?
Doing all right. Hanging in there. Just hanging in there. What do you got, buddy?
Same here. Anyway, so would you mind turning to Revelation chapter 3, verse 21?
Okay.
And so before I get to the question, just real quick, there's places in the Bible where Paul mentions that, don't you know that we will judge angels? And there's other places where he mentions reigning with Christ. And then this verse 21, I want to know what exactly is Jesus saying here, and in what context? If he's saying that we could, I don't have to write in front of me, that we would sit on his throne
right
with him the same way he sat on the throne with his Father. So, like, when I think about these things, it sort of naturally kind of draws you in, not draws you, but sort of makes you think about Mormonism in a way. It's sort of, I would never go that far with it, but I want to know, what is he saying?
Well, it's a good question, to sit down on the throne. If you take it literally, Jesus is sitting on a literal throne, and then millions of believers are going to sit down on the throne with him. It'll be an awfully big throne. So that's not what's going on. It just doesn't make any sense. But to sit in that place of authority, and we are kings and priests, according to the scriptures, that we have been bought, Acts 20:28, with the blood of God, and we're redeemed and dwelt by God. And so we have great authority. John 20:23 talks about binding and loosing. We can do a lot of stuff because we are the holy ones, the hagioi, the doulos, the slaves of God. And so in that sense, you sit on my throne with me. And so we will rule with him. He's the ruler, but apparently we're going to have stuff to do and domains of some sort. And that's what it seems to be. Okay.
Okay. I just got one more quick one, if that's okay.
Sure, no problem.
So would you mind going to Luke chapter 16, just verse 9?
Okay. Luke.
And again, here, I just want to know, what is Jesus saying here? That's all.
Oh yeah, that takes a little bit more explanation. So I'll have to do that in order for you to understand the context, because he says there in that verse, make friends for yourselves by means of the wealth of unrighteousness, so that when it fails, you receive eternal dwellings. The context is what the parable of the unrighteous steward. So let me go through the parable, because once you understand the context, then it'll make more sense. Okay, so the parable has been used.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask if you could run through the whole parable, because the whole thing, I mean, even the first part of the parable where he sits down and changes what they owe, that seems like dishonest to me.
Let me explain.
So anyway,
Let me explain what's going on. Okay. So what's happening here is, it says this is in Luke 16:1. There was a rich man who had a manager, and his manager was reported to him as squandering his possessions. All right, so there's a landowner, and there's a manager of the land. So the landowner would have someone who would do his business, do his bidding. So the landowner would say, raise the tax to 11%, or reduce it to 7%, or whatever it might be. It might be a drought that came through, and the landowner would then say, instead of 10%, give me 3%, whatever. It's that kind of a thing. And so whenever the manager went out to the people who were tilling the land, he was representing the landowner. So this landowner would often rent out this area, or owned a large area of land, and people would come in and they would live on the land, and they would work that land, and they might give 20% to the landowner, whatever. I don't know the numbers, but this kind of a thing, so that they could then feed their own families, and plus the landowner would be provided with food. So if you had 20 people doing this on land, and he got a percentage of what they had, he'd be quite rich very quickly. All right, so, and he called him and said to him, what is this I hear about you? Give an accounting of your management, for you can no longer be manager. So now he wants to find out the truth. Give an accounting, because if this is the case, you can't be manager. So the manager knows he's in trouble, and he says, he's not going to beg, he can't dig. So what's he going to do? He says, I got an idea. What I'll do is, he says, I'm going to go and tell them, reduce the rates, and you got that. How much do you owe? $10,000. Okay, reduce it to 5. How much do you owe? 7,000. Reduce it to 6. Whatever it is. Well, that means then that the people who work the land will then believe that this was initiated by the landowner, because the manager is representing the landowner. Now, in that culture, the reputation of a man was very, very important, and the mature men didn't run, they walked. They spoke slowly. They considered their options. They were wise. And so he's considering his options, and he is not rushing, and he is making the landowner, making sure things are right. So the reputation of the landowner is always there. And this is important, because in an agrarian society, if he is found to be wicked, then people aren't going to want to do business with him. So his reputation is critical in this culture, far more than it is with us, because, hey, you don't like what I say, go to another store. Go over there, I don't care. But there, that's different. The word would get around in the culture. And if his reputation was destroyed, it was destroyed on several levels, economically and theologically, because the people who owned the land, the Jews, were under the law of God, under the Mosaic law, and they were obligated to do what was right before God. So for a manager, for a landowner to become wicked or cheating would mean he not only was dishonest, but he was turning his back against God. So the ramifications of something like this in a culture like that would be absolutely humongous. And he could lose his livelihood, his family, be destitute, all kinds of stuff. All right? Okay, now, so the manager goes out and says to these people, hey, reduce your rates. What's going to happen among the people who worked the land? They're going to rejoice. They're going to say, the landowner is great. The landowner is awesome. He is wonderful. They don't know that the manager is the one who's being deceptive. They think that the landowner is the one who's being So wonderful and so great. So the people are going to have a celebration. That's just what you would do. You have reasons to celebrate. You might buy a fatted calf or get some extra wine and have a celebration and praise the great name of the landowner, et cetera, et cetera. What's the landowner going to do once he finds out that the guy's been lying? Now he's stuck. Because now, if he says, no, whatever you owed me originally, pay it now. Well, it's going to cause let's just say a modicum of depression and anger to rise up among the people. And so the landowner is stuck. He doesn't want to appear as though he was incompetent with this manager. That would reflect poorly on him. It would make the manager look bad. What if the manager said, no, this is what he said? Now he's got another problem. So he's really stuck. So Jesus says, and he's praised. He's praised him. His master praised the unrighteous, in verse 8, unrighteous manager because he acted shrewdly. Now notice what he says here. For the sons of this age are more shrewd in relation to their own than the sons of light, than the Jews. The sons of even just the unbelievers are smarter than you Jews. I say to you, make friends for yourselves by means of the wealth of unrighteousness, so that when it fails, they will receive you into eternal dwellings. What he's saying here is the issue of salvation, eternal dwellings, is so critically important that even if you have to be unethical to get in, at least that's a smart thing to do. They're being smart about what's happening for their future. You're not. That's the whole point of what's going on. Okay?
Okay, so he's saying salvation is that important to gain it by whatever means, similar to like finding a pearl and buying the land because the pearl's there, kind of a thing?
Exactly. Because he's trying to designate how
interesting.
important it is. Now, this is not the way we would think. Wait a minute. No, just believe and you're okay. What he's doing is talking to covenant people, covenant Israel, who's going to understand this parable in the cultural context. He's not speaking to the Gentiles. He's speaking to the people of Israel because he was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, Matthew 15:24. So he's addressing them in a manner that they will understand. And what he's saying is, by the way, this unrighteous steward, he's a smart guy. He took care of himself. He took care of himself. And the unbelievers they're smarter than you are about this. You're so stupid, you're not even getting what is critical about inhabiting and finding eternal dwellings. You better do whatever you can to get in. That's what he's saying. Even if it's not even the right way. Well, there's only one way, through Jesus. But that's not what he's saying, as though there's another way to do it. He's simply emphasizing the importance and the criticalness of this whole issue of salvation. And you better get in, because eternity is a long time to be wrong. Okay?
Okay. Make friends for yourself from the wealth of the unrighteous, so that when it fails, they will take you into the eternal dwelling.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, there's a break.
Okay, good. I don't want to take up too much time.
It's a tough one, but that's what's going on there. It's a radically different way of teaching that Jesus used. Okay? All right, man.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, buddy. God bless. Hey, folks, we have two open lines, 877-207-2276. Be right back.
There are places with people in this world that are without any hope. That is, until Mercy Ships arrives. Mercy Ships is a place restoring sight to the blind, healing to the deformed, acceptance and help to the outcast, and love to the brokenhearted.
And many times you can almost see the life coming back into them. Can't beat that.
Mercy Ships is the largest floating civilian hospital in the world, staffed with some of the most skilled volunteer medical professionals and crew. Mercy Ships brings hope, healing, and love to the lost and forgotten in the world. To learn more, go to mercyships.org today.
We live in an on-demand world. Time, weather, meals, and content. That's why the Truth Network has the Truth Podcast Network. Some of your favorite Truth Network programs, plus some that are podcast only. Rich content that is rich in the Word.
Truth for a New Generation with Alex McFarland podcast is content for all generations of Christians. Alex is an apologetics author and speaker. Alex's greatest passion is fueling any Christian's faith and giving all the stuff needed to do the same. Truth for a New Generation podcast at truthnetwork.com.
Okay, I'll be right there, guys. Hey, oh, Dad, come on in. I thought you were the radon test guys.
The who test guys?
Didn't you see the paper Sunday? The Surgeon General issued another warning.
Oh, like the cigarette warning?
Exactly. Only now they're saying radon causes lung cancer. For non-smokers like us, radon is the #1 cause of lung cancer.
You're kidding me, right? I have a smoke-free home and my family can still get cancer from radon?
Yep. That's why the Surgeon General says every home should be tested for radon.
But I don't smell any radon in my house.
No, nobody can smell radon. It's odorless, colorless, and tasteless. It just comes up from underground and seeps into your house.
Oh, great.
No, hey, it's no big deal. Even if they find high levels of radon, it can easily be fixed. My brother just had his house fixed. Now that's the radon test guys.
So how did you find them?
First, you go to the EPA website.
Learn more. Visit the EPA at epa.gov/radon. That's epa.gov/radon.
Mommy, I'll get it.
Oh, I'll be right there.
Me too.
If you love them enough to listen to them practice the same song on tuba, please be done. Over and over and over and over and over, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
Sounds good, honey.
Check today at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and
It's Matt Slick Live, taking your calls at 877-207-2276. Here's Matt Slick.
Everybody, welcome back to the show. If you want to give me a call, 877-207-2276. Alberto, welcome. You're on the air.
Yes, you know the famous Calvinist scholar, Wilberforce?
Wilberforce? Wilberforce, yeah.
He died. Somebody told me that he wasn't even sure if he was going to heaven or not.
I don't know.
Himself wasn't sure that he was going to enter heaven.
I don't know.
So how do the Calvinists have any security then? But he's a famous scholar, Calvinist scholar, so basically he's not the one that elect.
Well, what you're doing, you're hearing, it's hearsay. You don't know if that's what he actually said. And without documentation, I wouldn't put much credence in it. A lot of times people will tell me things. I'll say, well, where's the documentation for that? And they don't have it. And not that I want every documentation for every single detail, but it's like, okay, can you show me? Well, I just read it someplace. Well, okay, maybe it's the case, maybe it's not. But I just tell them, I said, look, if you don't have any way to really look at it so we can look in the context, see what's going on, really can't comment about it. I mean, and so what if he had, if he didn't have assurance? What does it mean? It means if it's the case, it means he was struggling in some areas. That's all. Okay. All right.
All right. I just wanted to know. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, buddy. God bless.
All right.
All right. Hey, let's get on the air now with, let's see, Jonathan from Washington State. Jonathan, welcome. You're on the air.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going, man. It's going. What do you got, buddy?
I had a question about Calvinism.
Okay.
And I know you did how it relates to free will. I know you say there's like 3 parts to the free will or different types of will. Can you explain that?
From God. Yeah, theologians, what they've done is they've looked at the will of God, at his actions, and they've kind of categorized things. They said, look, over here we see God's decretive will. That's what they call it. You know, God says, let there be light. And boy, it just happened. He decreed it by his command. Oh, there it is. And then they see, you know, he says, don't make idols. Don't lie. Don't steal, you know. So they call that the prescriptive will. It's a prescription. This is what you're supposed to be doing. Well, to do these things and don't do that other stuff. So that's called the prescriptive will. But then he says, don't lie. That's his prescriptive will. But he lets you lie. So that he wills it in himself. He wills to let you lie. It's his will to permit you to lie. So, I want my daughter to clean up her room when she's little. My will is that she clean up her room, but it's also my will to permit her to not, because I'm not going to force her and everything, And so it's called prescriptive and permissive. God prescribes one set of behaviors, but permits people to do something to the contrary of what he prescribes, because they have free will. Okay.
Okay. And with the permissive will, like, since God knows everything, wouldn't he already know what decision we would make when he created us?
Yes, that's correct. Mm-hmm.
So wouldn't that mean everything is already predetermined?
There's a yes and a no to it. This is where we get into the mystery of how God works. God knows all things. Mm-hmm. And everything that comes into being can only come into being by his decretive will, or his, I like to say, his direct or indirect will. He knows whatever decisions you're going to make, and you're the one making them. He just knows it. And there's reasons we can get into why he knows. But you're certainly free to make decisions, and he knows whatever choice you're going to make ahead of time. That's because he's God. Mm-hmm. And you're free at the same time. Okay?
Right. Okay. And I was wondering if you could relate Calvinism to like the Old Testament and the New Testament, because I've heard people say or even ask, like, did God change his mind, like with the New Testament? Didn't he change his mind?
No, he didn't. He, for example, prophesied that in that the gospel, I'm thinking of Galatians 3:8, where Paul quotes Genesis 12:3 and calls it the gospel, because God says, in you all the nations shall be blessed. And in Zechariah 12:10, God says, they'll look upon me whom they have pierced. And that's Jesus, God in flesh, who's pierced. Jesus came to fulfill the law, the Old Testament requirements. So in Leviticus 8, Numbers 4, Exodus 29, in these chapters, that's where the necessities for entering into the priesthood were prescribed for the priest. Well, Jesus fulfilled them. He was 30 years of age, verbal blessing given. He had to be anointed with oil and sprinkled with water. That's what the prescription is. And he's a high priest after the order of Melchizedek. So it's not like God's different. No, he's harsh in the Old Testament and gentle in the New. He's harsh in the Old Testament in that he guarded the nation of Israel and wiped out nations who were ultimately in the service of the devil, as the devil was moving them to come in and destroy the people of Israel so that the messianic line would be destroyed and Jesus would not arrive. So God protected the nation of Israel. And then once the Messiah came, crucified, rose from the dead, ascended into heaven, now we don't have to worry about that. So now we are told to fulfill the Old Testament law. And so Jesus says the greatest commandment, he quoted Deuteronomy 6:5, and he quoted that in Matthew 22:37, when he said, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And then he quoted Leviticus 19:18, which is love your neighbor. He quoted that in Matthew 22:39. He says in the next verse, verse 40, these are these two commandments are all the prophets on the prophets. So then you go to Luke 24:44, where Jesus talked about what was bearing witness of him in the law, the prophets, and the law, the prophets, and the Psalms. And so the Old Testament and the New Testament are interrelated. They're not contradictory. In the Old Testament, there was the covenant of law, let's just say that generically. But in the New Testament, we're into the covenant of grace. And there's a lot of yes and no's in it. I'm not going to get too deep into it because there's ways of defining terms and getting into more theology. But we're now under this covenant it's called the New Covenant, where God has written his law in our hearts, Jeremiah 31:31. And this is what's going on. And the New Covenant is ratified with the death of Christ. That's Hebrews 9:15-16. So they're integrated, and Jesus fulfilled the Old Testament. Okay, makes sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And so would you say that, because people will ask, like, why didn't God just already come with a fulfilled law? Would you say, like, the Old Covenant had to happen for the new covenant to fulfill?
Well, God's ways are not our ways. And me, because I'm slick, I like things quick and slick. I'd have done it in instead of 6 days, 6 seconds. Now we're all in heaven. Let's have a good time. But I'm not God. And God has his ways of doing what he wants according to what he sees fit. He doesn't tell us why. It's just how it is. So he works through people, through history. And I think part of the reason is we're created in his image, told to take dominion over the earth, male, female, children, sin. The Messiah's got to come where he enters in, and all this took time. And so he works through history. Okay? There's the break, buddy.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Okay.
Okay, God bless. We'll talk to you later.
Yeah, God bless.
Hey, folks, you want to give me a call? 877-207-2276. Be right back.
Africa needs Jesus, and we need you to help us provide the gospel to its citizens throughout the ministries of Transworld Radio. Transworld Radio, along with the Truth Network and you, can provide wind-up radios to those who can't afford one on their own. Transworld Radio broadcasts the gospel of Jesus Christ directly to citizens of Africa, but many can't afford a good radio to receive it. For just $50, the cost of one wind-up radio, you can make an eternal difference in the life of someone, a family, or even an entire village in Africa. Since 2008, TWR has been broadcasting into several West African countries, and the results have been profound. Lukewarm believers are revitalized, faithful believers are encouraged, and new believers are coming to Christ each day. These wind-up radios encourage persecuted Christians as well as exposing the gospel to the persecutors. None of this can happen without your partnership to help distribute these wind-up radios. To give, call 888-988-656 or go online to truthnetwork.com and click on the Africa Needs Jesus banner.
The mission of Paralyzed Veterans of America is clear. Accessibility. Veterans who have served and sacrificed the best of themselves deserve access to the best our country has to offer. Access to meaningful employment. Access to the veterans' benefits they've earned. Accessible homes and vehicles. And access to every part of their communities. With PVA staff working inside VA hospitals, no other veterans organization has provided more real-time, ongoing support for paralyzed veterans and their families. PVA is proud to serve veterans across all branches, all generations, and all conflicts. Our nation's heroes fought for your independence. Join PVA in fighting for theirs at pva.org.
It started off as a normal day. I felt fine when I arrived at the plant.
Ruth Junius's life was about to change.
Then I dropped my keys. They kept slipping out of my hand. My arm felt numb. A coworker asked me if I was okay, and I couldn't speak. I started to get scared.
Ruth was having a stroke. People around her weren't sure what to do.
They thought I should go home or lie down, but I knew something was very wrong. I wrote 911 on a piece of paper with my other hand, and someone called for me.
Because everyone acted quickly, doctors at the hospital were able to give Ruth treatment that started to reverse the symptoms.
Within a few minutes, I was talking again. I didn't know a thing about stroke before I had one. Now I make sure that my friends and family know all the signs of stroke so they'll get help fast if they need it.
No stroke. Know the signs. Act in time. Call 1-800-352-9424 for more information. Brought to you by the U.S.
It's Matt Slick Live, taking your call at 877-207-2276. Here's Matt Slick.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the show. If you want to give me a call, we have two open lines, 877-207-2276. Next longest waiting is Jay from Ohio. Jay, welcome. You're on the air.
Hey, Matt, how you doing?
Doing fine, man. Hanging in there. What do you got, buddy?
Good. Hey, I had a question on the NRSV Bible. A buddy of mine about a year ago gave me it's an NRSV Life with God study Bible. Have you heard anything about that?
No. I'll hear stuff when it's a problem. And the NRSV, it's just a new revised standard. It seems pretty good from what I've,
Right. So this one has deuterocanonical books, and that's actually why my buddy gave it to me, because we were talking and I was interested in just reading them. I understand they're not canon, but just, wondering if you had heard any feedback on that or anything. I was flipping through it, and I see the contributors to the front, people who wrote the commentary, and it looks like they're all Protestant.
Okay.
So I was wondering if it was like a Catholic study Bible or what, but it doesn't seem like it is.
Well, I know what the RSV is, Revised Standard Version, but I don't know anything about the new revised. So someone could take a text like the RSV. I think there's copyright issues, so that it's super old. So therefore, it's free. Like King James is public domain, so you can take that and put it into a book, in a Bible, and you can do commentary notes on it, and then make it the Matt Slick commentary, using the King James, blah blah blah. So the NRSV is that kind of a thing. So yeah, look to the contributors and see. I don't use the RSV. It's old. I think it's 150, 200 years, something like that old, and that's fine. Just because old doesn't mean it's bad.
Oh, really?
But when was the NRSV? Well, let me put it this way. Look it up. When was the RSV written or translated, whoever it is? 1952. I stand corrected. Well, that's the that's the RSV.
No kidding. Huh.
1952. So I stand corrected. And so and then the probably what is the case with the NRSV, that was done in 1989, first published by the National Council of Churches. And the National Council of Churches makes me nervous. Okay. Yeah.
I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, it's a partnership of a bunch, about 40 or so council churches that get together and stuff. And yeah, and so I need to do a research. It's a brief thing that what is it? National Council of Churches good or bad? From what I understand, no, it's not. But it doesn't mean. So here's the thing: it doesn't mean that just because it might be problematic there doesn't mean that the NRSV is bad. So what I would do is just do translation comparisons and things like that. Check it out.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, and do you know by chance if that what was it you said, the Council of Churches?
The National Council of Churches.
Do you know if it's like, are they involved with the Roman Catholic Church at all, or is it like an ecumenical thing or something?
I don't know. Let me see. Christian faith groups. I'm looking up some stuff to see if it gives a list, and I can't see any particular list. But now I'm curious. Now I'm really curious to see. So I'm going to have to do some research on that. And
cool. I've been using an ESV study Bible, and I really like that. I like study Bibles a lot. I like to have the commentary and all of that. But this one doesn't seem quite as theologically rigorous. It's more based at the disciplines of faith, I guess, is like the concept of it. So that, along with being deuterocanonical as well, I was just wondering if maybe this was like a Catholic edition of a Bible or something like that, because I do believe that Catholics use the NRSV like pretty prominently as well.
They use the Douay Rheims, and they use the Revised Standard. I think that's what they use.
Revised Standard.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now I just found a list of the National Council of Churches. Episcopal Church, Community of Christ. That's not good if it's who I think it is. That's an LDS. It's a cult. Episcopal Church, bad. Evangelical Lutheran Church, ELCA is very liberal. Greek Orthodox is in. That's bad. Yeah, but you see, it just because. But then look, then there's the Orthodox Church in America. I don't know, and that's another bad one. Patriarchal Parishes of the Russian Orthodox Church. Okay, then there's a PCUSA, and that's really bad. and then the RCA, which is pretty decent. So the Swedenborgian Church of North America. Oh, that's a cult. And then the United Church of Christ is a cult. United Methodist Church is not technically a cult, but it's so liberal that you really can't trust anything that comes out, much of anything that comes out of it.
Sure.
And Metropolitan Community Church, which is LGBT. Hey, they're in there too. Okay.
No kidding. Wow, that's quite the ecumenical council there.
Yeah. So of course that's warning flags.
Crazy,
that's warning flags. And so now, having seen that, my recommendation is be very wary of that, because if the members of those groups wrote stuff, I'm not really going to trust them. It's just me.
Sure. Yeah. No, and I appreciate that. I get skeptical about it too. Like I said, my buddy gave it to me just because it has the deuterocanonical books, and I was just interested in just reading them in general.
Yeah. Well, I have them on Carm.
Reformed, and I got a. Oh, do you really? Okay, cool.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and he just had it. He had it for some class he did at some point, and they were studying that stuff and whatever. We're both Reformed. I got a pretty light grasp on some of the cults, but I'm aware of like some of the stuff. So, like you said, just kind of threw some flags. I'm just curious if you had ran into that at some point.
No, but now you got me intrigued. So I'm taking some notes into my list of questions I have to go through. There's 15 there, and there's how many? There's 68 there, and then they got another list of, scrolling down at the bottom. That's not as big. It's only 663. So I got about 750 questions I got to get to. That's all.
Is that all?
Yeah. And then that's not even counting the over 50 people I'm supposed to analyze. And
right. Yeah. There's a lot of, you mean aside from that?
Oh yeah. What I need here, I'm just going to say this. People could pray for this. What I need, what the ministry needs, is $1 million dumped in the bank so that we can hire researchers, get an office, the whole bit, and just do videos, write articles, and just knock this stuff out, and develop teaching courses and all kinds of stuff. That we can start educating.
Yeah, man, I would love to see that for Carm. I've been following you for probably 6 months or so, and I've just really benefited from it. I'm in Ohio, and Truth Network was just recently. Well, I don't know if it was Truth Network in general, but I just heard you on Truth Network on the radio, and my understanding it was like a recent broadcast, or they had just come over to our station or whatever. So I definitely appreciate you guys.
Well, there's a lot of good guys on the radio network. I know the owner. He's a great guy, and the reason I'm on is because Hank Hanegraaff went rogue and joined the Eastern Orthodox Church, and so a lot of churches
I heard about that.
Yeah, he went rogue. So a lot of stations just said forget it, and so I got contacted by different networks saying they wanted me on. And this is the only one I could afford, because people don't realize we don't get paid to do this.
Oh, really?
We pay to do it. Yeah, it costs money out of Carm every month, and it's not cheap, so that we can give information out and answer questions. And a lot of radio people, they get paid to do their stuff, but I don't. The Carm doesn't. The ministry doesn't. So we do need that support. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. No, I pray that for you guys for sure. I'll include that. Yeah. I know how much you do personally and all of that, so it would be a blessing to
I do a lot.
Get a load off your shoulders too, I'm sure.
Oh, man. Plus I had I got a lot, and I've got new responsibilities. I started a doctorate degree program. Don't know how far I'll get into it, because I just don't know what the load's going to be. My wife's health is deteriorating, and I have more responsibilities in Carm lately, because we lost a guy. We couldn't pay him enough, and he had to go down to ministry, and praise God. So I got extra responsibilities, and so it's just a coalescing of a lot of stuff. So I'm working a lot and very hard. All right. So pray. Hey, pray.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Yeah. All right, buddy. There's a break. Got to go, man. All right. God bless.
All right, brother. Thank you.
All right. We'll see you.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Hey, we'll be right back after these messages, and we'll get to Martin right after this. Be right back.
You know, honey, I think I deserve some kind of reward.
Here, have a pickle.
Thanks. After all, I did find us the perfect house.
Have another pickle.
Thank you.
But remember, then I found out how much our house was going to cost.
Yeah, but then I found us the perfect mortgage. Got any more of these?
Sure, help yourself. But then I found out our perfect house had radar. The stuff you can't see, smell, or taste. And it's radioactive. And it's the second leading cause of lung cancer. Some dream house.
Yeah.
I need 2 pickles.
True. But then I found a phone number to call 1-800-SOS-RADON, where you can get all the information you need to test and fix a home with a radon problem.
You did.
Yeah, and then I found out we were going to have a baby. So, you know, your study, it'd be a perfect room for my mother.
Right. Now I need a phone number to fix a home with a mother-in-law problem.
Hey.
I'm in a pickle. Did you say baby?
Do we have any ice cream?
Protect your family from radon. Make your home safer. Call 1-800-SOS-RADON. 1-800-SOS-RADON.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those round trips that you plan in advance, which are perfect on your way there and perfect on your way back? Or those meetings with friends for which you make a group chat 3 months before so that nobody or anything is missing? Or your daughter's first birthday party. You planned it with such dedication that instead of the first, it felt like our 15s. The same way you plan each detail for those moments. Start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. I overdosed on heroin and I lived. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. My desire to change had finally outweighed my desire to stay the same. I felt powerless for so much of my life. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. For the first time, I finally feel like I'm exactly where I should be, where I want to be.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
It's Matt Slick Live, taking your calls at 877-207-2276. Here's Matt Slick.
Everybody, welcome back to the show. If you want to give me a call, it's real easy. All you got to do is dial 877-207-72276. Let's get to, W. Martin from North Carolina. Martin, sorry for the long wait, but hey, you're on the air.
Hey, Brother Matt. How you doing?
Doing all right, man, by God's grace.
Hey. Oh, and what were you saying about AKA Bible Answer Man? Because that's how I got to listening to you, because I used to listen to him and it disappeared.
Right, and the reason is because he left Protestant theology, went to the Eastern Orthodox Church, which teaches theosis, becoming like Jesus, almost to the point of divinity, participating in the energies of God that make you able to do what's necessary over a long period of time in order to obtain your righteousness before God. So basically, it's a false gospel. Yep.
Oh, wow. That's sad to hear.
Yeah, it is. And so a lot of stations dumped him, and that's why. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Because I was wondering, because I would. So now when I go for a walk on the treadmill or I jump on the bike, I'll put my phones on, the earphones, and listen to you, because you come on right after I get home from work.
Well, good, man.
And
appreciate it.
Yeah, but I wanted to ask about, is Matthew 11:18-19, is that, we supposed to just get exactly what it says from it, or am I reading into it
Don't know.
Because he's saying John came neither eating or drinking, and they say he has a devil. So we know he ate and drunk, or you don't live long.
Yeah, what that phrase meaning is just he's not a glutton and a drunkard. Came eating, and because they would often have parties where there was a lot of food, they was go in and eat and drink, and the wine that they would often drink, they didn't have beer and stuff like that. Really, the wine was diluted, so they had to drink all day in order to get a buzz, get drunk. And sometimes they did have harder forms of liquor, a strong drink, which is prescribed, believe it or not, in Proverbs 31:6. But this is just a phrase that John the Baptist wasn't out there being a glutton and drinking booze and stuff like that. He wasn't having normal stuff. He was eating honey and locusts and drank water out there in the desert,
Okay.
Yeah.
So then 19. So then could we use that to say Jesus did drink a little wine?
Sure he did.
And how do we know it was wine?
Yeah, sure he did. I got cut off there. How do we know it's what? Maybe we lost him. So let me just keep going. So this is a very interesting verse, Matthew 11:19. And so what it's talking about here is Jesus is speaking of himself. The Son of Man came eating and drinking. So he would go with those people who were sinners. He would go to where they were. They would eat. They'd have meetings where they would eat, and he would be there. Not every time. And they would be having drink. And I believe he drank. I believe he had alcohol. He wasn't a glutton, and he wasn't a drunkard, but he would have wine just with people. I don't see any problem with that at all. Now, a lot of people believe in the blonde-haired, blue-eyed Caucasian surfer Jesus, and he would never.
Real, right.
There you back. And they would say that, well, the blonde-haired, blue-eyed Caucasian surfer Jesus would never do anything like that. He's always really nice. He wouldn't drink any alcohol because that's bad. Well, why is it bad? Jesus' first miracle was making alcohol, making wine.
True.
So anyway, so the idea is that the exaggeration that the enemies will use. He wasn't eating and drinking, because Jesus is using the same phrase. Eating and drinking about John, eating and drinking about himself. And says he's a gluttonous man and a drunkard, a friend of tax collectors and sinners. And so, well, wait a minute. Why would they accuse him of that? Because he was with them. He went with them. He talked to them. Yeah. I often wonder, would Jesus be accepted in a lot of churches today? The people he hanged around with. Yeah, you never know,
It's true. Yeah, because this is in red. This is the red letter, so this is supposed to be his words, right? That was wrote down, quoted, whatever.
Yeah, that's what it is. So he said it.
Yeah, so this is him talking.
That's right. Now, Jesus said it's not the healthy who need a physician, it's the sick. And the people, the sinners, and were sick with sin, and he spent time with them. He spent time with them.
That's right. That's what he told the Pharisees, right? Because they said they are well, and they don't need them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. So I have personally, off of this, I have no problem going into chat rooms where unbelievers are. I've been in chat rooms where they talk about LGBT, that they're pro-abortion. I'll go into these rooms. I'll listen. And sometimes I'll volunteer information, try and get a conversation with them. They need the gospel. They need the light. And so we need to represent Christ.
That's true. That's the only place. That's the only time you're gonna be able to talk with them, right?
That's right.
Go where they are, right?
That's right. I remember once I was on the internet.
I go to a bar.
Okay.
And here in the South, all bars have meals like home cooked restaurant. You got collard green in it. You can go into any bar here and have collard greens and black eyed peas and cornbread and. So they're open later than the restaurant. And one of the bartenders that I go to one like every Thursday, I go and he says, I notice every chance you get, you bring up the word and the people, whoever's sitting beside you. And he was like, you making me feel bad because I feel like that's what I should be doing. He said, because I'm a Christian. So now when I go, me and him would talk out loud and,
we look for any word to bring up the word, and now he talks with me instead of me just talking to him by myself, Yeah.
Well, you know what? That doesn't bother me at all. I mean, I think it's kind of cool what you do. Because, a lot of people say, no, you cannot encourage a guy to go to a bar. Well, you're going there and you're witnessing, you're sharing the gospel. Would Jesus do something like that? Apparently, since they said he was a gluttonous man, a drunkard, a friend of tax collectors and sinners. Well, they're not going to flat out make something up about him. They're going to say, hey, see what you're doing? Now, see how bad you are for hanging out with them? He was doing it. All right? He was doing it. So, yeah. I once met a guy, and he told me that his ministry was to go to bars and to witness to people. And now a bar in Southern California doesn't have food like that, generally speaking. It's a bar. And sometimes those bars aren't real sanctified. Let's just leave it at that.
Okay.
And he was raised in that environment because of his dad. And it's a weird story. But at any rate, he said he would just go in and he'd sit down, grab a drink, and he would just sit there for 2-3 hours. And he'd milk one thing, and he wouldn't get drunk or anything like that. And he'd wait for people to show up, and he's praying and he's asking. And he goes, Matt, you're one of the few people I can tell that I do this. I said, okay. And he said, you'd be shocked. He said, you'd be shocked to know how many people who go to church are Christians, supposedly Christians, and stop going. They're now going to the bars and drinking. He says, what are you doing here? And they go, well, what are you doing here? He goes, I'm here for you. And then he talks to them, and they go back to church a lot. They go, you know what? You're right. I need to do. He just witnesses to them. So, hey, that's not for me though. I can't do that. So.
Yeah. And I wouldn't advise a Christian that was an alcoholic in his. Are you the kind of person that you take one drink and then you got to continue? That you can't stop at one drink. I never been that type of person. I never was a big drinker. So drinking don't even. Yeah, I had I grew up stepdad, knocking us around, and everything. So I never got into that because I seen what it did to him. But they got great. The dinner is just as good as a restaurant food. Whoa. And I guess I should say not a dance type bar versus a pub where it's just it's all TV.
Yeah, I get
you. And it's just TV.
Well,
thing, and
you just reminded me. I did a debate with 2 atheists in a restaurant bar in Dallas, Fort Worth area about 5-6 years ago.
Oh yeah, that's my roots. Yeah, I was born in Dallas.
Yeah, and so they actually said, "Hey, Matt, if you want to do this debate, you got to understand that it's a place where they, a lot of people come in. They have a stage, and they do all kinds of stuff, and bar, and people drink, and I said, okay, that's where the unbelievers are. Let's go. So,
yeah,
that's it. And so I did a debate there, and a lot of people showed up. All right.
Wow.
Okay, man.
Okay, man.
All right, buddy. Hey, we got other callers waiting. God bless you. Keep up the good track work. Okay. All right, buddy. Okay, God bless. All right. Let's see. Next longest. Oh, man, that's a long time to wait. Rebecca, you making over about a half hour. Salt Lake City, you're on the air. Maybe she's not. Maybe she got tired. If Hitler was still alive, would Jesus forgive him? Depends. That's a question worth getting into, but we won't do it right now. Let's get to Cindy from Ohio. Cindy, welcome. You're on the air.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I wasn't sure if I had to close out Clubhouse app or what.
That's all right.
Okay. I'm sure you get asked this every year. Just wondering your thoughts on trick or treat.
Mm-hmm. Well, the negative side is that there's a lot of occult stuff involved, and we Christians should not be involved in anything occult. On the other hand, it's really cute to watch the kids come to the door, and I love it. Every Halloween, I get candy. My wife thinks and she just looks at me. She goes, "I can't believe you enjoy it so much." I do. I just jump up to the door and enjoy the children in their outfits, because for them, That's all it is. They're just getting candy. They're having fun, and I enjoy it. So I look forward to that. So can a Christian celebrate that? In that sense, sure. We had our kids. We dressed them up, and my wife and I did. We took them to trunk or treat. It was a church gathering, and they had a parking lot, and they had a bunch of cars that had their trunks open, and in a U-shaped thing in the parking lot, and the kids would go around to the cars and get candy, and that way it was a safe environment. So it just depends, and we don't want to dress up as demonic things and put our kids out like that. But there's a concept in the scriptures in 1 Corinthians 10. And can we eat meat sacrificed to idols? Yes, we can. We're free. We're free to be able to do that. But we don't want to stumble anybody else. We're free to be able to celebrate and dress our kids up in Halloween costumes and little bunnies, and they go door to door and get candy. But we have to be careful at the same time. We don't want to stumble anybody in our freedom. And so for each person, each Christian, it's between that person and the Lord. Okay?
Well, but I did the same thing. I grew up IFB, Independent Fundamental Baptist, for anybody who doesn't know what that means.
Sure, I know.
And we did the same thing. We had trick or treat at the church and that sort of thing. And I always told my children, you're not going to dress up as anything evil.
Right.
And so now I do I put gospel tracts in baggies with candy and have some for the kiddos and some for the adults and that sort of thing. But there are always those extreme friends who say you shouldn't even do that.
That's their judgment.
And I know that you
have them call me. Hey, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we're out of time. There's the music. I'm sorry. Call back tomorrow. Let's talk some more. Let's talk about your friends and stuff, okay?
All right.
Sorry, Cindy. I apologize. Okay. Hey, folks, sorry about that. We're running out of time. If you want, you can call me tomorrow by God's grace, and hopefully we'll talk to you then. Have a great evening. Clubhouse. Let me get a switch thing on the deal. Hold on. And there. Okay. All right, Charlie, you want to say something? Go ahead. I'll put you in. Say something, Charlie.
Oh, I had to unmute myself.
Oh, okay.
As I'm taking after you, I'm late in flipping switches sometimes.
I never am late. I always do it right perfectly all the time.
Ah, okay. I just thought it was a communicable kind of a disease.
But I got enough of it for a lot of people then. Hey, did you talk to Dave about coming down here and stuff?
Yes, and Debbie's she's figured out the dates and we can do it. Yeah.
All right, good. All right. So then we'll just go by Twin Falls and either meet you someplace at a gas station across the freeway or find you someplace down there, whatever, and we'll figure it out, okay?
Yeah, I was just thinking of driving out Friday morning and geolocating Laura and just driving to her house.
Oh, you mean straight from Spokane?
No, from Twin Falls.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'd head out early Friday morning.
You know, if you want, yeah, because we're going to probably be leaving here around, I'm thinking noonish, 11ish, noonish, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So you'll be way ahead of us. It'll take 5.5 hours for us to get down there, and we got to get a hotel. So we'll either do it in maybe Salt Lake or Ogden or Provo or American Fork. We'll figure it out.
Well, then we'll get a bigger dose of Bentley than you.
That's right. Well, Laura's never invited me over to her house. Whenever I bring up the area, the issue, she goes like this. So I don't know what's going on, you know.
Well, just leave your computer behind and you'll be all right. You'll have time to socialize.
Hey, I would have invited you guys over when Ed came to dinner with us, but I do not have an ADA, so he couldn't have got in the house. Yeah, that was fun having Ed in there, and I love teasing him. He's great. I tell him the reason he got his PhD was to bother me personally. Just this stuff, just stupid stuff, and he eats it up. So yeah, he's good.
Matt, can you hear us?
Yes, we can.
Cynthia is in here, your last caller, if she wants to finish her question.
Sure, go ahead.
Oh, I thought I was done, but that's why. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just asked because, you always have those extreme people who say you can't have anything to do with Halloween. And like I said, I agree with you. I've always let my kids do trick or treat with the understanding of the explanation, but you always have those friends and those people on Facebook who said you shouldn't have anything to do with it. And I know that you have an occult background before you were saved, or at least for some reason I'm thinking that.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
So people with that sort of a background tend to be a little more sensitive with those things. So I thought you would be the perfect person to ask.
Yeah, and I'm a little more free than a lot of people. But you know what? When people get uppity about it, and I'll say, you have a job, right? And I'll say, yeah, okay. And are you off on the weekends? Yeah. So Saturday, Sunday, and then you go to church on Sunday? Yeah. So you rest on Saturday, right? Well, that's a pagan holiday from Saturnalia, and it comes from the Roman gods, and Saturn was one of them. So I guess you shouldn't rest on Saturday or do anything on Saturday because it's a pagan name. And you use the word Saturday, don't you?
Yeah, that's great. That is a great point because, yeah, you use the name. You say the word Saturday, don't you? Oh, my gosh, you're not supposed to have anything to do.
That's right.
Yes, people take things to such an extreme.
Yeah.
So that's a great example.
Yeah, it is. Let's see. Sunday came from the Helios, literally the sun. So it's named after, in English, it's named after the god of the deity of the sun. And Monday was, I'm looking on the line here, Luna or Selene became the moon. Let's see, Tuesday is Mars, Wednesday, Mercury. Okay. Looking for the names of the origins, but and Domingo in Spanish and stuff like that. But anyway, yeah, that's one of the things I do is Saturday. You can't rest on Saturday. You can't use the word Saturday, so.
That's good. I just was having a conversation with a person the other day about the Trinity, and they gave the typical. I'm sorry, they're actually to me embarrassing arguments. Well, the word isn't in the Bible, and I said the word Bible isn't in the Bible.
Good for you.
So, okay, super. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the word atheist is not in the Bible, but the concept is taught. Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, I posted your article in there.
Joanne.
I don't know if Cynthia can hear me, but I posted your article about Halloween into the clubhouse for Cynthia.
Yeah.
Maybe you can let her know that it's in the chat.
Did you hear that, Cynthia?
I'm sorry. No, there was a lot of interference.
Okay, he said he put the article on Halloween from Carm that I wrote, and it's there. You can just go to Carm and look it up. Okay.
Yep, I look a lot of stuff up on Carm. So, all right, thank you.
Good. All right. Well, praise God. Yeah.
To piggyback on Cindy's question, with all that's going on with Disney, what do you think about the children dressing up as Disney characters?
Yeah, that's a good question. If they're, I think it's such an ambiguous. I mean, how do you answer it? Because if you dress your 4-year-old up as a pony, and they're so stinking cute, that's okay. What if you dress up as Bambi? Well, that's okay. I mean, 4-year-olds don't know anything. So do you exercise a certain kind of discretion at a certain age, and you don't want to know about Disney stuff, and you start telling, you guard them against Disney, don't have anything to do with Disney? I can see that. It's up to the parents, So it's a real, I don't know how to answer it, but I could see if I had my kids, I wouldn't let them have anything to do with Disney anymore. And we stopped our kids from watching the Muppets because they started getting whacked too. And you know, you there? We lose you?
No, Cindy and I are both on here.
Okay.
You know, Joanne, when my kids were little, being a single parent, I never once in my life did I spend money on a Halloween costume. They either had to be a farmer or a bum because I could just take stuff out of their closet.
That works.
Although I've got to say, oh my gosh, I got to confess, I did rip up an old sheet and wrapped up my youngest son as a mummy one year, but he was just so cute.
Well, my favorite outfit to wear for Halloween when I was a kid was a little devil outfit, of all things. When you're young, you're oblivious. You're just oblivious, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just go out there. All it is go have fun. And I am already looking forward to Halloween. And I sit by the door. I have my candy there and knock, knock. And I'm like, oh, man, I'm there. My wife just smiles. And I go, hey, how are you? I'm just loving the outfits. They're so cute.
I remember when I was about, I don't know, very young. For 3 years in a row, my mom took a burnt cork and put on a fake beard on me and dressed me like a hobo. So, you know, as though she had some kind of foresight as to
Well, you know what?
She was pathetic.
Preparing me for my adult life.
I'm sorry, I think I'm breaking in. I can't tell if y'all are talking or not.
Yeah.
No, you're breaking up.
Yeah, we're
Joanne,
talking.
you're breaking up.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to try something new with the, actually, you can try it right now. There's a way to do something different that I might be able to route something. If you want to hold on, it's hard to explain. It's a trick for the phone. So hold on, I'm going to try it, okay?
We usually call that Mickey Mouse.
Well, it's called a DEX app, DEX. It's part of Windows that goes in with Android phones, and you can connect them. But you have to have a wired connection, like I'm going to do. I'm going to activate DEX on the computer. Then I have to put in my thing here. And what it does is it puts the phone desktop, the phone, on your computer. That's what it does. So I have to find it, and then because then I can get into. There it is. I can get into. What the heck? There we go. Start now. You see the connection? There we go. Okay. Then from there I can get into Clubhouse. So screen now, and now I'm seeing my phone. Stuff. So let me do this. And if I drop out of, I don't think you can still hear me in Clubhouse, but if I drop out, give me a minute or so to come back in, okay?
Okay.
So I'm going to try it right now. Let's see. Clubhouse. So if I drop out, just hold on. Oh, look at that. Hey, wait. Oh, no, I'm in on the phone. So let's see. I can see the phone now. Okay, test 1, 2. Can you hear me?
It's yes, it's wonderful.
Okay, now watch this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch so you can hear everything, okay? Now I'm going to switch something. Let's see. How do I do that here? Let's see, not that. I'm learning as I go. Quit settings, quick settings. Okay. So it sounds pretty good, you said?
Sounds great.
All right. So, okay, that's that.
Can she hear us from StreamYard?
Can you hear him? Joanne?
Oh, he sounds clear as a bell.
It works. Now I want to know if you can hear the
radio?
The radio show. We could try this tomorrow and see. But here, I'm going to try something right now. I'm going to switch to this, to my headset. So let's see if it gets even better. So how do I do this? I'm thinking ahead on the decks. So I'm going to try this. Sound settings. Oh, wait a minute. It already is on it.
Good.
So there's that. And then transmit is that. And so the speakers. Okay, I just changed. Now say something, Charlie. And then Joanne, tell me if it's even clearer when Charlie talks. Go ahead.
Hello, Joanne, my dear sister.
Is that clearer or not clearer?
Hey, precious Charlie.
Is it clearer or not clearer?
I don't know how it could be any clearer.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to do one more test here. Test right there. Now, is that any clearer or not clearer from when I'm talking?
You sound the same to me.
Okay.
Well, I feel like I'm at the eye doctor. I can't tell any difference.
All right, that's okay. Now I'm going to do something even more different here. Hold on. There's that, and there's that. Now, how do I sound, Joanne?
It sounds the same, but it sounds great.
Okay.
I can't hear her just in the distance, but you're booming in here now.
Okay. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Okay. But now Charlie can't hear me.
Yes, I can. But Joanne is distant and almost undiscernible.
Okay, so then that tells me what I need to do. So then when I can do this, I can do, we'll try producer tomorrow and we'll see. But this, when we're after the show, I have to set it up like this and where is it? And that. Okay, now Joanne, now you can hear me okay?
I hear you loud and clear.
Okay, now Charlie, did you hear her?
I do hear her now, yes.
Okay, so that's the setting I needed to keep when the after show like this. So this is the DEX system. And I literally have my phone hooked up with a wire, and I'll share my screen. I'll show you what it's doing. It's not a big deal, but it is kind of cool. Share the screen and the window, and come on, slime ball, where are you?
Did he call me a slime ball?
Yeah, the DEX screen. Okay, there we go. Add the stage. So that's what it looks like on my, that's what a window shows up on my screen looks like that. So cool. I can, my mouse over it, I can scroll up and down. And so we're in this. And so I can do stuff there. Now let me try this. If I click on that, I'm going to go in here and type this. Oh, look at this. It works. Is a test. Okay. And yeah, I am techie. I love tech.
Now I have a question. Do you wear that different set of headphones during the broadcast?
This? No.
Oh, I thought
I wear this during the broadcast. Now, this goes to the Comrex.
Okay, so if you use that during the show, we'll still hear the show and we'll still hear you. You don't have to flip an extra switch or anything, right?
I don't know. We're going to find out tomorrow.
Ah, okay.
So what'll happen is when we do the show tomorrow, I'll set everything up. I'll put decks running, and we'll get into Clubhouse here, and then we'll just give it a go from there, and we'll just see.
Okay. Right? If you want us in StreamYard a little earlier so you can do a sound check like that, then
we don't know. Well, yeah, we can. I can do stuff, but we don't know till we're live when it starts feeding. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's that, and then check this out. So I can do Discord. And watch this. Let's see. I'm just now trying this. Look at that. I'm now in Discord. So, I wonder if I could broadcast to Discord at the same time. I wonder if someone wants to go. Here we go. It says it's online. Come on. Got to figure out how to do all this stuff. Because it looks so weird. Let's try this. Not opening up. Why don't you just go down in, oh, that's that. Okay. So, generally speaking, well, I can't do Discord. I can't get into my room. I can get into other rooms, but I can't get these things to open. Oh, there we go. Oh, hit the right mouse click and it opens. So now I go in there, dismiss. I go into here, go into, I'm going to go into the radio show room. So if anybody wants to, no one's here yet. If anyone wants to go in there, oh, now I opened it up. Join it voice. Look at that. Okay. So I might be able to feed to both from here. So I don't know. I'm just testing stuff out. Okay. Join in carm.org. And then we go left. And so there we go.
Well, send me a link to get in there and I'll try entering it.
Okay. Let's see.
Just put it in the private chat.
I'm going to try. I got to get to it, though. Figure out how to do it. Let's see. Carm. Slime ball. Settings. Channels. So we had to copy it. It's actually on the Carm homepage. Or just go to carm.org/social media.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm jumping in. I'm going to get out of here. Bentley's been patient. He wants me to read Deb's book to him. So.
Oh, cool.
All right. Okay, God bless.
All right. So anyway, we're just testing stuff, and if you guys want to get in there.
Matt,
Yeah,
can Charlie and Ernie hear me?
I guess so.
Charlie can.
Well, here's one for y'all and Cindy, and I'm glad Bill's down in the audience. He can't amen it. I'm talking about Halloween. You know what I used to choose to be every single year when I was a little girl?
What?
And it's like Charlie. It rubbed off on me. A witch.
Uh-huh.
I'm glad that y'all came. I'm gonna close the room as soon as I say this. I guess that's what happened to me as an adult.
Well,
mine's opening the Discord a little slowly, but
that's all right.
Logging in as a human.
You have to go to the radio show on the server and get down in there. We could just stop the stream too, because it's, we're just wasting time now. And we can still stay in here and talk.
Okay.
Okay, someone in that. Okay.